There is some money to be earned working for the DCC. Now, I don't want to sell this straight away as me saying this is terrible, these people shouldn't be getting paid that. That's not the idea of this conversation. This conversation is actually about the story that's come out in the last couple of days about high wages being paid to various employees of the DCC. But it would appear, if you have a look across the country, that those salaries are similar, if not in some cases a little bit less in fact, than what other councils are paying other employees at the same level. Now, Dan McKenzie, you're involved with politics, certainly locally. The story we're talking about is Dr Sue Bidrose. She's just had her salary upgraded to $371,880. What are your thoughts?
Well, actually, I'm a bit of a fan of Sue. Actually, she came back to Dunedin specifically to work for the council, but at a lower level. And when the last chief executive left, she stepped up, and I think she's made some great changes. And the thing that is strange for me is, okay, she's getting a 6% rise, which is high when inflation is 0.4.
Sure.
But her salary is well below the chief executive of Delta, which is a council-owned company. And I'm thinking, how does that work, really? I mean, this woman's in charge of a large workforce and some difficult problems. You know, they've got a huge budget and huge deficit to try and reduce, and yet she's quite happy to take a reduced pay rise.
And that's a part of the story which I think is warranting of actually us mentioning. I mean, for 99.99% of people watching this, for people in the country, it's eye-watering, as David Benson Pope said. It's eye-watering money. It's an unbelievable amount of money. But given the opportunity to get a pay increase, she said, actually, I'm happy to take an increase, as we all would be, but I'm not happy to have more of a percentage increase than the people working with me are. So she actually refused a higher increase and took the same amount as to what the other people within the council in her department sort of thing were getting, which, even though it's still a huge amount of money, is still pretty honourable if you can get more.
And I think that's the example that Sue has set. She's not prepared to take any more than what other people are, and she actually has got a bit of a feeling for the city. You know, we're not a high wage economy in Dunedin, you know, and she understands that, and she could go to another council and get a huge amount of money. She could top 500 easy in another city, for sure. And I just think that Dunedin people need to be realistic. I mean, she's doing a top job. They're the second largest employer in the city after the university. So she's got a big responsibility, and a lot of staff rely on her to make the right decisions.
So let's have a look actually what was offered. This is Mayor Dave Cull, Q6 there, Tim, says this. This year we offered her an increase that reflected that we see her as completely competent in her role, but she declined the level of pay offered. Instead, she suggested that she receive the same salary increase that her staff had received over the same period since she began in her role, which is basically what we just said. So good on her. Dave Cull also went on to say Dr Bidrose has worked well with councillors over what has been a challenging term for the organisation, with a great deal of internal change to improve the core health of the council as an organisation. So very good. So she's well thought of. You thought of her well. You've obviously had something to do with her in your role here at the ODT. Dr Sue Bidrose herself, when asked of this, she would not accept a higher offer than the staff had been awarded. She said this, quote, "I have asked that in the future council simply award a standard salary increase that mirrors the timing and size of any increase the staff are getting for the remainder of my contract. This seems fair to me, as frankly, any success attributed to me is just a reflection of the hard work, dedication and public service commitment of many great staff in this organisation." And finally, I think
Public service.
Yeah, I mean, we got to. I mean, I don't want people to look at this and think, you know, these guys are just, you know, cozying up to the council and the richies. But it's a hell of a lot of money. So to be honest, I mean, if we're being fair, to be on 360k and turn down 12k to take 6k, it's not really a hardship. But the principle is what we're talking about, because the other side of it, and this is reported in the ODT, that final graphic there, Tim, says this, quote, the committee last month heard that Dr Bidrose's $50,000 a year salary was between 10 and 20% below chief executives of similar sized councils. So she's earning less than she could, and when she had a chance to increase it, she increased it by less, you know, by fewer dollars. So, you know.
Isn't that the epitome of public service, basically? She wants to actually serve the people that pay her wages rather than just gouge us.